Star Trek Strange New Worlds is back. Season 2, Episode 1, The Broken Circle, aired last night, and it was a very entertaining episode. Great storytelling, dramatic moments, comedic moments, a lot of action. Altogether, it was a very entertaining time, and I can't wait for the next episode. Si quieres saber más, vámonos! Saludos programas, I am Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican, and I am here with my Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 1, The Broken Arrow review, I guess? Oh, I mean, that ship has passed because I already gave you my review, the TLDR. So I'm just going to get into some parts that I really enjoyed. I am going to give a spoiler warning because though I might not get that spoilery, some people might consider it a little too spoilery. So if you want to go into this episode fresh and clean, then I suggest you beam out now. Are they gone? Can I talk now? Okay, great. Alright, so first let's talk about Spock in this episode. I just want to give kudos to Ethan Peck for taking on the iconic role of Spock, who arguably has been the face of Star Trek ever since it went on TV. I mean, heck, along with May the Force Be With You, Live Long and Prosper has made it into the general lexicon of the world. In this episode specifically, Spock is dealing with his emotions, which is something strange for Vulcan, because his Vulcan inhibitors that stop emotion from flowing through were lifted last season. So now we're dealing with a rather emotional Spock. And Ethan Peck has been portraying it beautifully. He's been able to portray drama, comedy, pathos, still with that bulking, straight-edge logic. My favorite Spock moment of this episode was when the Enterprise was chasing after that Federation ship. And they were heading for that D7, you know, the Katinga class. We'll get to that later. Well, as the Enterprise was chasing that faux Federation starship, Spock knew that Mbenga and Nurse Chapel were on that faux starship. Didn't know if they had gotten off, but he had to make the call to destroy the ship. Otherwise, a new Klingon Federation war would start. And Spock took the shot. Spock destroyed the ship, not knowing if his compatriots made it off that ship. In that small scene, with those little words, with just his facial expressions, so much was conveyed. It was a beautiful moment, and I loved it. It was great. My second favorite moment of this episode, or I should say moments or characters, whatevs, is Nurse Chapel and Doc Mbenga, and they are great together. Those two, just ever since season 1, have worked fantastically off each other. And one of the greatest things this episode is that the backstory of Nurse Chapel and Doc Mbenga, it kind of gets peeled back a little bit. So you know that they were involved in some stuff during the Klingon Federation War, but you don't know exactly what they were. Whatever it was big, and they both feel remorse for it. And they both feel really bad that they have to revisit that place again. This was some really good storytelling in my opinion. And we could never find out what happened to the two of them during the Federation Klingon War, and I'd be okay with that, just knowing that we have that little bit of intrigue there. And last, but by no means least, my most favorite part of this episode, Klingons. Kapla! It was really great seeing all the Klingons in this episode. The redesign for Strange New Worlds is, in my opinion, fantastic. It's a great callback to the classic Next Gen and Star Trek 6 Klingons that we all have grown to know and love. And also, it embraces the newer iterations, like the Discovery Klingons, where people have not been the hottest with them, but slowly people have been warming up. So it was great to see all varieties of Klingon in this episode. My personal favorite was the one Klingon where his head ridges, they kind of melded into his hair braids. It was the one that Leanne was in the drinking competition with. It's fantastic. And I'm really excited to start on new Klingon cosplay. My only one gripe of this episode was when Nurse Chapel and Doc Mbenga gets beamed back on board the Enterprise. Now I get it. They were running on a skeleton crew because the ship was stolen, but you're telling me that no one would be running to the transporter pad without medical supplies or anything to receive two people that had just been jettisoned into space? Meh. The moment between Nurse Chapel and Spock worked for me, so I'll give it a slight pass this time. So that's my review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 1, The Broken Circle. Really excited to see what happens next week. Really excited to see where Captain Pike went and this lawyer that's going to get Una out of jail. So until next week, hablamos luego.